It's the pink out, where we keep it poised, keep it pretty, and keep it pink. Join us every Sunday for pink conversations with professional women on a sensational journey to empower women, one story at a time.
I'm Kesey Monique, Affinity for Love and Business Coach.
I am Stacey Young, your transitional and confidence coach.
Janelle Jones, self-love and abundance coach. And today we have a very special guest, Larry Fletcher.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
We are happy to have you. So today we'll be talking about protecting the cookie. Ladies, you know this is a very sensitive subject because typically we feel like, well, what do a man know about my cookie? You know, watching Larry's post, he literally has some in-depth information about women. And you can tell this brother has done his research. Beyond protecting the cookie, he's protecting his wife. Like, he is really adamant and passionate about his business with protecting the cookie. So, Larry, tell us a little bit about how you got started with protecting the cookie.
Well, thanks again for having me, you guys. It's a pleasure to be on. So back in, I think, 2017, I had a friend who was actually the boyfriend of my wife's girlfriend. So they came over and, you know, he pulled out this sanitary napkin. I didn't even know it was called a sanitary napkin. I just thought it was called a pad. But he pulled it out and he was like, you know what this is? I said, yeah, man, I know what it is. What you doing with that? So he said, he started telling me some information about, he said, man, do you know that women are suffering around the world because they're putting toxins inside of these pads? And I was like, really? So I come to find out that my wife was using that same brand. And when I started thinking more in depth into it, my daughter was 9 years old at the time. And I'm thinking like, man, she's going to be starting her cycle. And this is the brand that they're going to be potentially passing down to her. And that's usually how it's done. So I was just intrigued, and he showed me a demonstration and actually took that brand apart and started showing me the actual layers of it. And, you know, these products put bleach and dye in their pads, and really they don't have to, but they do it because a lot of people don't know that these companies are invested in the pharmaceutical industry also. So it's a win-win for them. They get you to use their products because they know if they can put chemicals in there to get you to bleed more, you're going to buy more, for one.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. Repeat that again.
I said if they put chemicals in the pads to get you to bleed more, you're gonna be buying more. You're gonna use more.
Oh, wow.
And also, being that they're invested in the pharmaceutical industry, if they can get you to cramp and get you to go to the doctor and invest in medication, then they're recuperating money from that end also. So I found out a lot of these things. I'm not going to put these companies on blast or say names because I don't want to catch lawsuits and stuff like that.
You can put it in the chat for us, though. We won't tell anybody.
Okay, I'll do that.
Put it in the chat so I can go.
That'll be declassified right here.
I need to protect the cookies. So.
I already knew,
but I've always had problems in that area myself, and that is the brand that literally, once they came out with all of the bells and whistles, and they were like perfect, but as far as helping me to not have, how can I say, spillages and stuff like that, but in some cases it didn't work. And so in 2010, I had an endometrial ablation because I was that one that some days I couldn't even go to school. I couldn't even go to work. So
yeah, you know, 600,000 women a year in the United States have a hysterectomy. A lot of people don't know that. And what happens is when women have challenges, the doctor automatically just wants to do a hysterectomy, because it's money for them. But there's other alternatives that you can do to not just have a hysterectomy. First of all, you need to, find, talk with multiple doctors and find a different alternative, maybe see a herbalist or something like that can help you and not just have the hysterectomy your end result. Because if you think about it, man, I do so many, before the pandemic, I did so many home visits, home presentations, women's group presentations, and there's always a woman at the end of my presentation that says, "Oh, I have fibroids," or "I had a hysterectomy at 25." And when you think about it, once a hysterectomy is done, you can't get that back. Like, you can't have any more kids. So, that's a sacred part. So, I became an awareness ambassador for what is called the Justice for My Jewel campaign. And we just go around educating women and men and teens on, what they're putting in these products. And in the process, we also came out with our own products that are natural, discovered some amazing benefits, and infused them into our products. And the number one thing that women ask me when I'm doing the presentation is, "Do you guys have tampons?" And, I know a lot of women feel that a pad is going to feel like a diaper, and the first thing they're going to do is switch over to a tampon because they don't want to feel like they're sitting on a wet diaper or sitting in their own blood. And so what we did with this product is we found some amazing plant-based polymer that absorbs so amazingly. I mean, the results and the testimonials are amazing, but tampons we don't support. We have a couple of OBGYN doctors that are on our medical advisory board. And one of the things they told us is that they don't recommend tampons as OBGYNs because, and a lot of women are going to disagree when I say this because, man, I had so many women on Instagram coming after me when I said this. But I'm just being told what's being told to me by OBGYN. This is not my experience or my opinion. But it makes sense to me. When you use a tampon, you have to think that, okay, you have that bacteria, you have good bacteria that is supposed to be released naturally, right?
Right.
Every month. When you use a tampon, you're actually plugging that bacteria back up. And now, after so many hours or so many days of doing this, you're allowing bad bacteria to form around the vaginal walls, and this can cause a number of issues. So with that, those doctors told us that they don't recommend tampons, so therefore, we won't be selling tampons ever. But some women say, well, what about organic tampons? But organic tampons are they serve the same purpose. They may not have the chemicals that the other brands have, but they still serve the same purpose. It acts as a plug instead of doing what your body is designed naturally to do as a woman, is to let that bacteria come out, naturally without plugging it up.
I was gonna say tampons was always something that I ran away from because I could never figure out how to use them. And it seems like it would bypass the tampon and just go everywhere else. And I mean, and Flo was really mean to me. And
man, and you know what? It's you're right about that. And a lot of gynecologists told us also, because this company that we created, this organization, not only do we sell products, we're also a nonprofit organization. So, our goal is to, once we expand our business, is to give back to women and to do 5K walks. Because a lot of these chemicals, people have their arguments about it, but we feel that they're resulting into things like ovarian cancer and things like that. But like you mentioned about your flow, a woman is only supposed to secrete a certain amount if she has a healthy period, and that's between 15 and 50 milliliters. Now, every woman I tell that to is she jumps up and says, "Oh no, I flow more than 50 milliliters." So I know you
I
do
know
because
I
you using these certain products, you know.
They be up there adding a number, carry the 3.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably
Yes.
within the first couple of hours, that was it. But after that, it was over the rooftop and down the mountain. My goodness.
Larry, I have a question for you. So, what would you say for the opposite end of the spectrum, though? Because we were talking about a lot of women that have the heavy flow. What if it's not that heavy? Are you still affected in the same manner? Do you think that those pads with the chemicals are affecting the regular part of the flow?
Well, I've been told that the dye and the bleach can throw off your pH balance. So maybe you may be affected in that way if you're not bleeding heavy. It's hard to say because every woman's body is different.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Wow.
am glad you mentioned, your the doctors that are on board helping you out because, I'm the objective ones. Okay. So our listeners that have been on this podcast rocking with us for a while, they know I'm going to have some questions that probably nobody want to ask. Because the first question I asked when Kesey brought you to our attention, I was like, what can he tell me about my cookie that I don't know? We've been rocking for years. How he gonna come and tell me? But at the same time, I had to think about, okay, he's got to have some kind of backing. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to help people in this manner and not do the research. But I appreciate that you've done the research. You have doctors on your side because, people will rely on a doctor. And they can have all these credentials and all of that they have up and will go for it because they have the credentials. But I want to ask this question because, we've been real serious for a long time, probably longer than I'm usually able to hold it together, okay? Larry, when you're going and speaking to these ladies, are you ever uncomfortable?
Yeah, in the beginning I was. There was a time like you said, women would respond like you said you was thinking, like what can he tell me about a man? And then you got the older ladies in their 50s and 60s saying you shouldn't even be talking about this issue and it's disgusting and this is supposed to be kept private, and you got the taboo people. So but what normally happens is when I do my demonstration and I compare our product to the leading brand, and I take the leading brand and I dissect it, I take it apart, I show you the layers, I show you where the dye is, where it doesn't even need to be. I show you the absorbency of this product that doesn't even keep a woman dry like it says it's supposed to.
Like it says it's supposed to, right?
Right.
Wow.
Their products have they use for they use recycled newspaper. Now, this is where I got my information from. I got it from WebMD. Some people find WebMD credible, some people don't. I do.
I go to WebMD. Oh yes.
What I saw was their information stated that these companies use recycled newspaper, wood chip fibers, and what they do is they shred it, and then they send it through an 8-step bleaching process to make what they just did appear white. Because they know they how many women are going to sit there and take apart their sanitary napkin and actually see what it's made of?
No
Not
one.
many.
I barely want to deal with it.
Right.
Like, oh
I
my
gotta add
God,
something
at that
to
time.
this. Oh my gosh. Let me add something to this. My husband works at a mill, and you said bleaching wood chips. That is what my husband does, like literally. But I don't think he knows that that's what it goes for.
We need to find Bo another job.
Oh, Bo.
Yes.
Bo cannot be contributing to the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily his particular company, because I know what one of the things they do things for the pharmaceutical industry, but he doesn't really know exactly what is what. Once it leaves his department, he doesn't have the info. But I do know, like, when you go in the store and you buy like meat and stuff in the little package that it sits in, that's some of the stuff that they make. And so, yeah, I'm still, after all these years, still learning what he does at work. It's like really crazy. It's a lot of manual labor, but nonetheless, when you said the wood chips, that took me to, you know how you buy and this is kind of off subject, but on subject, you know how you go to the grocery store and you buy the pre-shredded cheese? Those are preserved wood chips.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't buy those anymore. Yes.
I'm glad you said that, because we got about 3 bags of them right now. I didn't know that either.
They're preserved. When you think about it, they never really get old for a really, really, really long time.
True. That's true.
Because it has the wood chips in it.
Yeah.
Wow. I stopped buying that a long time ago.
But to finish off Stacey's question, once I show them what's in this other brand, those women usually become quiet, and the laughing stops, and then they get real serious, because now they've been informed,
right?
You know, about something that not only they could be using, but their daughter is using. You know.
Yes.
Now,
wow.
Because I had to investigate. I had to look you up. I had to look at the credibility of the situation, right? Because we're still talking about a thing that most women think is just our thing. It's not for men to talk about. So I had to go and research, Mr. Larry, right? So I found very interesting information regarding how you go about like educating these women and things like that. I think it is amazing. And I know, and one of the emails that I received this week, it talked about wearing the right size pads. I think that is super important, that even with our daughters, like I have 2 young daughters, ages 11 and 13. And it's like, you have to start telling them these things earlier now than you would have back in the day. You got to start talking to them at like 7 years old now, where back in the day, you didn't have to worry about that for years. But educating these women or young ladies on wearing the right size so they feel protected. A lot of the reason I can say, growing up, the reason why you went for the popular brands, right? They have all these different options, like maximum absorbency, overnight, long, medium, extra long. And you go and buy in these brands and buy into it because they have what you need for the moment, still not realizing that in order for it to really do what it says it's doing, all of these chemicals that are in it that are still not even really working. So I applaud you on like really giving those little nuggets. And then there was another little tip that you said about eating right, eating healthier. So can you elaborate on how, maybe changing a diet could potentially help with those heavy or non-existent menstruals for these ladies?
Yeah. So eating plays a big part in your menstrual cycle, like eating your diet. So if you're, and I didn't know this either, a lot of times you see in certain commercials or in movies, when a young girl is on her period, she's stuffing down chocolate and wants the junk food and things like that. I think on TikTok they have this little thing going around where the woman is under the sheet and they shoving chocolate and all kind of stuff underneath the sheet. So you don't want to do that. You want to kind of change. I think I say in one of those emails, I'm not saying go vegan, but you need to eat more fruits. Try to when you wake up in the morning, not eat, bacon, eggs. And, first thing you want to do is drink water to stimulate your mind. And then the second thing you want to do is, eat fruits instead of, heavy starches and things like that. I have an ebook where it suggests what fruits you should eat and what food you should eat to, have a healthier diet. And that takes some discipline. Not everybody's going to be willing to do that, but it does take a lot of discipline. And I get a lot of my information from one of the ambassadors who is a womb therapist. Her name is Nicole Brantley. If you can look her up on Facebook, man, she drops some serious nuggets about diet and meat, and she's a serious hardcore vegan, and a lot of things She says
her and
a lot of
Stacey
people
can get together. Stacey is a vegan.
Yes.
Yeah, she's really into not just vegan, but eating raw vegetables, things like that, just not just eating processed vegan food that you see in the store. You want to eat raw vegetables. She gets you on this plan. So I get a lot of my information from her.
Larry, you're talking a lot about food. You're making me hungry. So tell the audience the top 3 things the top 3 foods, I'll say that, the top 3 foods that are a priority.
I don't know if I can give you 3 off the top of my head, but I will say berries are good.
Okay.
Raspberries, blackberries. I would go with those. I would say eat more green vegetables.
Okay,
And
the iron.
yeah, not to just steam those vegetables. You may just want to cook them raw, maybe, because I heard a lot of times when you steam vegetables, you're taking a lot of the nutrients out of it, and you're not really getting what's fully in there. And I would say stay off the red meat. Maybe try to go more towards fish. I would say stay away from chicken too. But I mean, if you feel like you have to eat meat,
I'm on day number 3. That's why no meat, all fish. I'm day number 3, and Stacey vegan.
Larry, you're right on the money in terms of like the different foods. And, I'm looking at your ebook right now. I'm flipping through the pages. So y'all probably heard the little flip book. But, I believe in what you're saying. And as a true testament, I have dealt with for more than 20 years, dealt with heavy menstruals, and the end of this year would be 1 year I've been on a plant-based diet or eating more plant-based. No more meats or any type of animal byproducts. And I can tell you in the last year, this is probably the best menstrual year I have had in over 20 years. And it was a constant struggle to the point where at one point, my husband and I thought we weren't going to be able to conceive because of the irregularities of the menstrual. So there are real life benefits to eating more greens. I try to keep a raw salad on hand all the time. I have a Brussels sprout and red cabbage raw salad on hand right now with a little bit of chickpeas in the fridge because that's just the way to go. It really does help. Those veggies that are antioxidants, those are the fruit that are antioxidants, those are really helpful. So Larry's on the money. He's talking good stuff, y'all. Like, this is real life. I can attest to eating more Brussels sprouts. I love them now. To those ladies who have issues with the smell of, your urine and your waste, it does change because your body is starting to get more raw veggies and things into that. So it's going to change, but I'd rather deal with that than deal with the heavy menstrual. I'd rather deal with that and not be in tears every single month like I was in all of my teenage years. So definitely these herbs and veggies and fruit is going to be your saving grace. Now, I have to ask about, I've had a lot of students of mine, I'm an educator, and I deal with a lot of, naturalists. Being a skincare educator, I have a lot of students that question the validity of the V-steams and what they do. How can they really help? Because there are so many claims out now about V-steams, like helping with so many things, like serious issues. So what about the V-steams is really going to be beneficial to someone that is experiencing cramps or heavy menstruals?
I'll be honest with you. I am new to the V-steam. It is not something I started off with. I decided to add it to my product line because, like I mentioned, Nicole Brantley, she mentioned it to me. Because somebody I knew was having issues and my pads weren't helping them. So they have some serious medical issues with their period. So the V steaming was brought to my attention, and I'm still kind of testing that. I'm still kind of giving it away to certain people I know just to get a testimonial back to see what it can help with. I think I don't know if I changed it, but my goal is to put it on my website. I don't know if I did or not. I put may help because I don't want to say that, it does help and try to, give some false testimonials. But I did get a few testimonials back from 2 people who said it did help with getting rid of the smell, that they had a fishy smell, and it helped with that. I did hear somebody say that it helped with their period pain for that month. My goal is to see if they steam 2 to 3 times a month. Is this going to be a continuous thing that will help them? So I'll be honest with you. I'm still kind of experiencing that myself. Like if the benefits are truly what they say they are.
That's good. I'm glad that you put may help. At least you set the expectation. You know what I mean? You set the expectation. Like, let me do some research, but you're saying it. So what made you choose the name? Because I have to ask, and y'all ladies ask questions. What made you choose the name Protect the Cookie or Protect and Serve Her? Like that's interesting to me.
So Protect the Cookie, I always heard my wife's side of the family because they got a lot of girls in their family. And I always heard them say, like, don't let nobody mess with your cookie. And so that just came to mind when I thought about what can I call the website and what can I brand this as. So that's how it kind of came to mind with Protect the Cookie. And then I had somebody, a friend of mine, who actually created the logo because just a few people kind of find the logo offensive because it has the blood coming out of the cookie. But so a friend of mine actually gave me the concept to use that. The Protect and Serve Her, that just came to me because, I feel like we protecting our women, like I'm going around, a lot of these events that I do for free. I give away product half the time sometimes if I'm not doing a vendor's event, but most of the time I'm giving away free product. So I feel like, my purpose is solid. It's my duty to tell other fathers and other mothers.
That's amazing. I love the name. I mean,
are being educated. Yes.
I won't lie. I looked at the cookie.
What'd you think of the cookie?
I was like, hold up now, y'all. I don't know if I see cookies the same. I'm glad I don't eat chocolate chip cookies no more. But it was eye-catching. Like it served a purpose and it made me want to dig deep. And being, the unofficial private investigator that I am, it made me want to go and dig deep. I'm like, okay, so first the cookie and then info. Okay, you got me at that. So, I mean, I love the logo. It's really, really nice. But I really appreciate what you're doing for the community of women that are uneducated. Because, I call us the woke folk. Kesey, Janelle, and myself. So we're here to, wake up other folks.
Right.
So I have a question about your events. Do you find that you have a mixture of, age groups, diversity, and, married or unmarried women that are at your events?
Yeah. Age groups, I would say there's sometimes a few kids there. Well, age groups, let me say no. Most of the events I do is adults, but they always have daughters. So one woman I talked to, she had no idea about all the things that I just discussed with you. And she gave her daughter tampons when she started out on her cycle. And, I introduced her to the product. And so she's having, amazing benefits and she's not using tampons anymore. So I'm thankful she came to that event. But, I would say it bothers me when I go on YouTube and I'm kind of like looking at content and because I'm a menstrual awareness ambassador, a lot of my content that comes across my feed is like menstrual stuff. So I always see these girls making these YouTube videos and they're like, oh, I started my period, and they go shopping with the mom and the first thing they're looking at is tampons and, I'm like, come on now, let's just use some sense here. And then they're picking up these brands and, I wish I could just jump through the TV and, pop out or something and be like, don't do that, you know. But yeah, I have a slogan now. They're making a killing off of killing you.
Oh no.
Lord.
Well, I'll be a testimony. I've been holding this back, even from the ladies. I have already used the product, and I can testify that it is good because it does decrease. It does decrease the flow, and you don't have to use as many pads.
Amazing.
So,
Well, let me ask you, because our main goal when this product was made was to keep women dry. That was everything else was going to be just a extra benefit. We felt like if you can keep a woman dry, she would come back and use it again.
Definitely. Compared to the other brands, I love it. It stays in its spot, and you don't have to worry about anything touching or anything like that. I enjoyed it.
So here's the thing. I have a few women who, most of our customers say what you say, but then you have a few women who say it didn't work for me because it was all over the place. So this tells me that your flow is heavy than it should be. You know, a doctor told me that if a woman is secreting more than 80 milliliters on her flow throughout the day, then she is actually considered hemorrhaging. So that's a medical issue that women need to take care of. But here's the thing. They don't know that because they've been taught that heavy bleeding is normal for a period.
Right.
And they've been taught that by uneducated folks. So the difference, you know what I mean? Like if you think about, women from back in the day, they gave you what they could give you, right? They plateaued at the information their mothers gave them. So when we get older and it's like, those of us that have daughters, we have to start early and let them know this is not okay. I have conversations with my 13-year-old that tell her, it's not okay that you have debilitating cramps. Stop eating chicken. We just stopped. She ain't eating chicken. She's we're just no, the hormones and this, you can't have it because this is not the norm. And when you know better, you have to go and tell these kids and people connected to us that this is not the norm. It is not okay to wear, a diaper size pad and you're putting on double of those and you have to change so many times throughout the day. It's unreal.
That's insane.
So you really have to I don't know. I really do. As a mom, I'm very much so involved with my daughters and I want to know hey, what's going on? I got 3 different apps on my phone to track everybody. We're not playing. I'm tracking me. Okay. All right. Tracking you too, and I have these conversations where it shouldn't be uncomfortable to talk about it because it's the norm. I'm probably a little graphic, y'all. I need to know how regularly everyone is pooping in my house. I need to know all this. I want to know what the flow is like, all of that.
Okay, so you said, I have a question. You said more than 80 milliliters?
Yes.
Considered hemorrhaging? Okay, so converted to ounces, that is 2.7 ounces. Yeah, I'm sure I was probably a couple of cups of those more than this, literally.
Yeah, I've had some women tell me they have to wear a pad and a tampon.
Yeah, I hear that too.
You
but
just double the toxins.
The thing is too, you have to start educating yourself. Think about before we had pads, before we had all of these doctors, and think about it because I come from a background of 20 years as a pharmacy technician. Some of the doctors are going to practice a certain way compared to others. And literally, they have a license to practice. They're practicing. Each person is different. Everybody's makeup is totally different. So you have to educate yourself and do what's right for you, do your own research and follow your intuition.
Absolutely.
See, for me, 10 years ago, the only thing I wanted was to get rid of it. I wanted it to be gone since the age of 13, I've had the roughest time with that thing. And so I'm on Facebook and I see, are you having problems with your period? Contact so-and-so. So I reach out and find out this guy's a doctor up in Corona in California. And so I go to him, he examines me, and he tells me my uterus is tilted. So then I'm like, okay, well, what makes the uterus tilted? He said it could be a number of things. How many children do you have? And at the time I had 4. Well, that's what I have is 4 children. Well, my last pregnancy was outrageous. It was terrible. It was hard. It was hard on my body. And I carried her extremely low. So he said that could have been it. Well, nonetheless, 2 weeks later, I got my appointment to have the ablation, and I haven't had Aunt Flo since then. So we parted ways. And so now I am in the process of being scheduled for hysterectomy because of a problem that I had a couple of years prior when we have our annual visits and they find results, I guess you can say, from the pap smears that come back and they say, okay, we're finding cells that are not good. And so it was a threat of cervical cancer. So the doctor told me, he says, we can do this every 3 to 4 months and you can keep your uterus, or we could go ahead and get rid of it. But now when you're saying this is probably because of all of this years prior, being uneducated about it and thinking, okay, well, this one works the best. So I'm just going to get this brand and this is what I'm going to use. And not understanding how food plays a part in it and how it could have actually probably been reversed had I known. But 10 years ago, I was into the internet, but nowhere near like I am today. Like I'm heavy into the internet today because I'm a business owner. But back then I was on the internet for school, barely on Facebook, barely checking email and all of that. It's like I might have checked email once a week, whereas now I check email several times a day. So I didn't take the opportunity to research and, find things out 10 years ago. Didn't even cross my mind. All I knew that guy popped up. I'm going to get rid of this thing, and that was it.
And you just kind of reminded me of something when you said you wanted to get rid of it. A lot of girls who say that, they get talked into taking birth control just to stop their menstrual cycle. So you don't want to go that route either. Yeah.
A doctor in Los Alamitos tried me with that, and I really liked that doctor. But he was like, "You need to try the progesterone, because of insurance approving it or not approving it." I'm like, "Look, I'm not doing all that. I will find a doctor to help me get rid of this. I want to keep my uterus, but listen, I knew I had to find something." So, strangely, this doctor popped up on just literally as on an ad on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I went to him and he took care of me. And so for 10 years, I hadn't had no problems, no menstrual cycles, no breakthroughs. I've heard women who've had endometrial ablations and they either are scot-free for a few months and it comes back lightly, or it just comes back altogether after a couple of years. Well, I don't know what he did for me, but he did it. And it hasn't never come back. So I just know, man, I wish I would have known this years ago. I really wish I would have known this years ago. But I still have a 16-year-old, so it's not too late to transform for her.
Larry, I have another question.
Yes.
What is your take, or what is your opinion on the new products that are coming out? They have the natural lines that are, starting to pop up now. How do you differ? How do you compare? Or would you say it's almost the same?
No, I wouldn't say it's the same as ours because we use a technology called graphene.
Okay.
I think if you look on the package, it talks about graphene. Graphene, it's kind of been underground for 15 years. But they have, I think period panties are starting to get popular now. there's a lot of stuff popping up in the natural market.
Yeah,
but
they say like all cotton natural.
yeah, so you really don't know, because some cotton is sprayed with pesticides. You know,
Wow.
so like some of the tampons or some of the competitors' pads say that it's they won't say it's 100% cotton, or they won't say that it's natural cotton, but they'll say it's cotton, but they won't tell you that it's not organic cotton, because a lot of cotton is sprayed with pesticides. So they don't tell you that part. So like I say, you really kind of don't know. You kind of have to dig deep. Maybe send them an email. Here's the thing, and this is with our people a lot. You could show them all the benefits of this product, and the first thing they want to do is ask 101 questions about what's in it. But you won't write one of these companies and ask them about what's
That
in
is
their
so
product.
true.
You know what I'm saying? It's like Master P said when he came out with his own version of the ramen noodles. All his people was asking, well, how much salt do it have in it, and how much this? And you don't ask ramen noodles that.
Sure don't.
Well, you ain't no ramen noodle, Nissan, whatever the name is. You know, dog, good face, bro. None of them people asking, well, what's this?
No.
No.
Why do they
But my point is, I don't mind asking these questions, but if you're using these other products, take the same initiative. You know.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you have a right as a consumer. You have the right not just to ask in this small setting, whereas other people and this guy is presenting something new and then he's a male. You know, you have the right as a consumer to ask these big brand names the same things, the same exact things. And the irony in a lot of products that are made for women, they are made by men. Okay, when the Jerry curl first came out, that was a fella that made the Jerry curl. Come on now, but people want to trust that. They trust the drip, but now they won't trust the man who's trying to help you with the drip. See, ask these people the same questions. We have the right as a consumer. You know, but I mean, it is sad to say that people become like experts in ingredients and organic things the minute you come out with something that is meant to actually help. But we won't question the big corporations because they're pasted all over the place and the shelves are full of them. And you got to think about anything that there is an abundance of in the stores these days. In order to get that mass production, the quality has been depreciated. You know, and
recycled newspaper. Recycled newspaper.
They didn't do that back in the day. All they had was cloths that they reused all the time back in the day. Okay.
and if you notice that our grandmothers didn't have problems with ovarian cancer and endometriosis and fibroids.
Right.
Sure did not. You better preach.
And breast cancer. And breast cancer. A lot of women are coming up with breast cancer as a result of toxic shock syndrome from using tampons, from what I'm hearing, and based on the experience of a family member. And I literally can remember hearing about this and getting news of the diagnosis. And she survived it. She was in the very early stages when it happened, so she was able to survive it, but she was an avid straight tampon since teenage years, into right before menopause. Boom, I feel a lump in my breast. Now you get this diagnosis and it's like life shut down. But she did go the holistic route to get rid of it because it was in such early stages. She was going to seek chemo and radiation, but I don't know how she did everything that she did, but she was able to get rid of it on, with holistic measures. But saying that to say, avid tampon. I don't even think she wore a pad a day in her life prior to
a lot of these women have to understand that they're going to be using this product from the time that some women start at 9 years old, the average is 12 years old. You're going to be using this product every month for the next 30 years, 40 years probably. So every day you're exposing yourself to a chemical, to dye, to bleach. The bleach in the pad that they use gives off a chemical called dioxin, which is related to cancer.
Yes.
Dioxin is it's also in some of our foods, so which is why
they
we
tell
walking
us
around looking crazy.
right. They tell us not to drink our water if our water sits out in the sun in the plastic bottles because it releases dioxin into the water. So if I've had water sitting outside in my car, I won't drink it. I'll throw it away, even if it's been unopened because of that. Is it true that it's in there? I've never tried to test it to see. I just throw it away. But let me ask you this, Larry. So along this journey, you've talked about all of the successes. What are some of the things that you may feel it could be a failure, or that you thought of was a failure that you had to say, okay, this is a learning curve. Let me revise or revamp. I can do this.
Thinking I can help every woman. That was a learning curve. And I had to realize that this product and this information is not for every woman. It's for the health conscious woman.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
Because I did a radio interview 3 years ago, and showed a young lady, one of the ladies that was interviewing me, I showed her the pad that we are talking about, the popular brand with the chemicals and everything in it. And she used our pad and she said she liked it. She was dry, but she's been used to this brand for all her life. So she was just comfortable staying with that brand. And I've ran into several women like that. I've ran into several women who just don't want to hear about it. They don't care. So then I had to learn that, okay, I can't help every woman. I just gotta focus on the target of the health conscious woman. So it was frustrating, definitely.
I love that. I love that. Tell everyone where they can find your pads.
So you can go to protectthecookie.com. It's pretty easy to remember. And we only sell we have different types. So we have the moderate flow, and we kind of specify them in different colors. So the moderate flow comes like the pink package, and then we have the heavy flow. Then we have the super heavy, and each pad get bigger in each model. So the moderate would be the small, the heavy will go up in size, and then the super heavy is like our full coverage. So that's why I say it's important that you choose the right size, because sometimes someone may choose the moderate when they really need the super heavy, and then they have an accident, you know. We also have panty liners.
Yes,
And
I love them. I love them, by the way.
And because of our panty liners, I'll also leave a tip in the email that when you download my ebook, that if you use our panty liners at least 2 to 3 weeks before your cycle, you may experience relief with cramping, because we have a graphene strip that's in our pad. So I'll explain the graphene, because a lot of people never heard of graphene, and they may think it's something weird or something that's not that might be harmful to them. But graphene is basically a carbon atom, and we created a strip that's made from an algae plant, and we've infused the graphene material inside of that strip. That strip gives off vibrational energy. And a lot of people, I don't want them to get vibrational energy confused with electricity. It's not electricity. It's just vibrational energy. So that helps with a number of things. It helps with dysmenorrhea, which is abdominal cramping. It helps with, heavy bleeding. You won't bleed as heavy. So now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen for everybody that uses our pads. Every woman is different. So it may happen, it may not. But if you go on the website and you look at the testimonials, you can go off of those testimonials and make your decision to at least give it a try one time, or a couple of times, and see if you have any changes in your period. And we also have the V-steam herbs. So if you do your research on V-steaming and you feel that you want to try it, give it a try. I ain't gonna lie, And since I'm talking about periods, I just be open about everything. I tried the V steaming because it said it helps with hemorrhoids. So
Okay.
Thank you for that transparency.
Transparency, right? So I did try it, and it was a relaxing feeling. I don't know if it helped with my hemorrhoids, but it was relaxing. So a lot of women just do V steaming really for relaxation.
While we're talking about these pads, what do you have for the older ladies who no longer have menstrual cycles but have bladder leaks? Have they gotten that far yet?
So we advise you to use these the super heavy flow. These help with like I had a lady in her 60s. She used these, and because she has there's a word for it and I forgot it. But basically when she goes to bed at night, she kind of leaks like urine. Okay. And this helped her not wet the bed. So it kind of absorbed all of that. And when she woke up, the bed wasn't wet like it normally was. Yeah. So the super heavy flow, 7.
Okay.
And here's another question your audience might ask is that how come there's only so little in a pack? Because when I go to the store, I'm used to buying 30 and 40 in a pack. Well, you're going to use all 30 and 40 of those in that pack too, because it ain't going to keep you dry. You're going to keep changing because the chemicals in them is making you bleed heavy. So you got to change every hour, every 2 hours. A lot of our customers that use our products say they only have to wear 2 pads a day, and they go 4 hours wearing just one. So we see she's
I can
testimony
attest
of
to
that.
it. I can testify to
So,
that. I use less
Janelle,
pads and I use more of my liners because I'm not a heavy flow.
so Janelle, we're gonna have to meet outside about this because you were holding back.
I know it was a secret. I wanted to wait for the cookie guy.
When we meet in the middle, Larry, sorry you gotta hear this. Janelle, when we meet, it's popping, it's on and popping. We're gonna meet in the middle. It's gonna be all pink out hug. Let's do this. Because you're holding out. We trying to protect everybody, Cookie.
I wanted to let you do the research. Let Larry come on here and explain it, and then I surprised y'all. Like, yes, it worked. Yep. I want to let my girls know and the pink out people. We are here for the people, right?
We're here for each other first, then the people. But it's all good. I'm glad I know now.
Yes,
Larry.
So basically, it's totally worth the investment. I thought the same thing when I purchased. I'm like, it's not that many in here. But once I looked up and did my research on what was in the pad and things like that, I said, let me just try it. I tried it and I enjoyed it because I didn't have to use as many.
Mm-hmm. And we're fully open to telling you what's inside of our pads. The FDA does not require these other companies to talk about what's in their pads because it's not a food and drug. So they require certain regulations, but they don't have to disclose what's in their products. Mm-hmm. So we're happy to tell you that our first layer is organic cotton. We use a plant-based polymer, which is the absorbency. We also use a plant-based adhesiveness, and the other companies, they use a construction grade glue, which is harmful. So we use a plant-based adhesiveness. We give you airflow inside of there. There's no plastic in our pads, so it's absolutely safe to use.
I think this is amazing. I'm going to go on protectthecookie.com and purchase. I'm trying to wake up other folk because I'm trying to have a Janelle testimonial. I'm trying to come through with a testimonial like Janelle.
My baby.
Yes, it's on. So I will be ordering immediately. Thank you, Mr. Larry. Janelle, we'll talk about that later. I think this is amazing. It is. Thank you for helping the ladies.
Thank you. I enjoy being on here. You guys doing your thing.
I'm sorry for raising my eyebrow at you. Before we met, I raised my brow. It was a real
she
legit,
prejudged you for real. She said,
I leaned in.
I gotta look this up right now.
I leaned in. I'm like, so what can he tell me?
Always do this. That's what I do. I say, y'all ready to record?
The lean in, it was worth it. You got my attention. I'm gonna spread the word. This is something that is definitely worth sharing. Ladies, he said the website is protectthecookie.com. You can get more information, get about the products, what's in them, and it is very straightforward on the website. I will say, very straightforward. And go snag the ebook. That's what I did on promo.protectandserveher.com. It is really good. He does send these emails to kind of keep you engaged, some knowledge dropping in the emails, and I think it's definitely worth the time investment of going on the website, worth the financial investment of ordering some of the sanitary napkins, or like y'all old schoolers like to say it, go get yourself some pads, some pads, not some tampons.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.